How's it going, everybody? I'm Jeff Slakey. I am here at the William G. Reed Timberland Regional Library to catch up and learn a little bit more about what's been going on lately. I'm with the manager here, Aaron Stumpf, also with the STEM and Teen Outreach, Stephen Buettler. That's right, I knew it. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing well.
All right, so I am a longtime library fan. I still have my purple library card.
Old school?
Yeah.
Old school. People have asked me, sure you don't want to upgrade that? No, that still...
You hang on to that.
Yeah.
It still works great.
It'll still be worth nothing.
When I got here, and this happened yesterday when I was here working as well, parking lot was full.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
It's a great problem.
It's amazing the amount of folks that come in and utilize the library. Before we started, you had a park ranger here reading to some kids.
Yes, we did.
Tell me about this program.
So it was Park Ranger Lucas, and it's part of our Community Helper Storytime series. So I think that inspiration was, do you remember the Richard Scarry books when you were kids? Okay, it's like Busy Town.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we wanted to do with Storytime. So our first Storytime in the series was with Fire Marshal Randy Collins. So I had to think about the last name, Randy Collins. Second one was Police Chief Carol Beeson. And then today we had a Park Ranger, Lucas Marin. And it's awesome because they come in their uniforms. And if they have cool vehicles, they bring the cool vehicles. And the kids love it.
That is very cool. And all downstairs here at the library is kind of transformed. It's very open. And there's a lot of opportunities for youth to be engaged with the library. These are recent changes as you guys have gone through some major renovations.
Yeah, it was. It happened when we did the remodel. We decided to turn this downstairs space, kind of in the vision of the district, was a destination space for families. And so it's still growing. We've got some exciting things coming down the road. That we're kind of keeping hush-hush for now.
Very secret, yes.
It's pretty secret, but we're really excited. It'll probably come out in the new year. So, yeah, it's continuing to grow. It's really exciting to see what the space has become.
One of the big things that the library has rolled out that we can talk about is the new website. It's been active for a few weeks now, and it was a whole redo.
Yeah.
Complete overall.
What are people able to now do on the library website that maybe they hadn't before, or some of these online resources, the services? There's so much for the library.
Yeah, I think interfacing with it is just a little bit more straightforward in terms of basic things like putting things on hold, being able to filter your searches a little bit better. I mean, the thing about libraries is we have so many resources, but the real challenge is how do you let people know about that and how do you get it into their hands in the easiest way possible? So there's definitely been that, transition period where people are just getting used to this new fancy website. But as soon as we kind of sit with them and like take them through, again, basic things like putting a hold on something, they're like, oh yeah, that's super simple. And I know the feedback that I've gotten when I've been on the info desk is really positive about it. So yeah.
It was Halloween just the other day, and I saw on social media the public library costume going around. Did you see that? It was like awkward public space available, and
nailed it.
And the descriptions were like, free books, Wi-Fi, and resources, and it was very funny. And I was trying to think of it in the sense of how do you get the word out about the library? I mean, we're not here. It's not like the Music Man, Marion the Librarian, shushing you and things like that. The library is a little different now. So how do you get out there and tell people that?
We're kind of hitting the community. We're doing a lot of community engagement, community outreach. You see us at every fair that's going on, every outreach opportunity there is. We're trying to reach the community members where they are to also let them know they can come in for the resources. As happened everywhere, COVID hit us really hard with losing a lot of patrons. And until really recently, we were still hearing word in the community, you guys are back, you guys are open. So we're just really trying to continue spreading the word that, we're open, we're available, and reaching people kind of where they are.
There's a lot of libraries throughout the whole Timberland Regional District across many counties, and one of the other pushes I've seen, which would really benefit folks here in Mason, is that kind of that rural getting the books out into these communities.
Oh, yeah.
And I see these vans.
We just started ours.
So tell us a little bit about that and how folks in the kind of the hinterlands of Mason can sign up for you guys.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the Anywhere Library. Joe is our Anywhere librarian, so he's got, I think he's up to 4 or 5 stops now on the community. So we've got a couple here local in Shelton. He's got one out in Tahuya, one out in Harstein Island. He's trying to get down to Steamboat. So it's far reaching, and we're just going to bring books and resources to where people are, as well as the opportunity, do story times if that's what they're interested in, kind of form it around each specific community and what they're looking for.
In Mason County, there are 3 Timberland Regional Libraries in Hoodsport, here in Shelton, and in Belfair as well. What's the kind of collaboration with those different libraries that you have in the county, and then just the whole region?
So countywide, we're really trying to break down the barrier of like Shelton's, we do things in Shelton, they do things in Belfair, and cross-collaborate with each other. It's bigger for the librarians. We have a pretty new team kind of librarians for Mason County libraries. So they're actively trying to work together, especially the youth services librarians. We've got 2 here. They have 1 up in Belfair, and try to make the programming more cohesive and working together with those elements.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, in fact, we had a day scheduled where we were just going to go up there and just visit and see what's going on, talk to them. I unfortunately got sick that day. But in general, I think we all have a spirit of collaboration. Aaron and I have talked about it a lot. It's like, why, when we pool our resources together, it's just so much more effective, and it gets that word out. So, we talked about even not just in Mason, but just getting in a car and going to other Timberland libraries, because they're all doing great things. They all have great people working at them. And it makes your job easier if you're like, hey, what's the good idea you're doing? I'm going to steal that. Yeah.
What I love, too, about the library is that it's also a meeting space for groups. Groups can rent out the spaces here downstairs and upstairs. I know Sound Learning has meetings here sometimes. And groups are here most every day, probably, right?
Yeah, the meeting room, I would say the meeting room is incredibly popular. Only having 1 and then this smaller room is tough for scheduling, but that's, a good problem to have.
And I know that I've heard it several times that, especially post-COVID, I think we're really one of the only public meeting rooms that's available in Shelton right now. I know that others that were previously open are not now. So a lot of people have been channeled to us because of that. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about families and parents who want their kids to come and enjoy the library, but perhaps feel they're not sure about the safety at the library or people here and there at the library. I remember when I was in my youth, we'd spend every other day down at the Olympia Library working and researching on things while my mom was doing Y classes or something like that. That's how that worked. So if a parent has an opportunity and their kids are here or they're in high school, safety and security, all that stuff.
Yeah, so the downstairs space is for birth to 18. We're pretty strict on, adults can come down here if they don't have a kid and browse, but they can't really spend time in the space.
Oh, yeah.
The teen space is for teens, and we try to keep that really, only for teens. So we don't really let adults hang out in there. We don't really let little kids hang out in there. And then we're always roving about. We're always watching what's going on. Yeah. So I wouldn't say we've had many issues. I understand it's a concern. It would be a concern for us too, and that's kind of why we have those.
Yeah, that's great.
I think in general, though, you just won't find a whole lot of libraries that have a whole floor
Yeah.
for kids. And not only a whole floor, but this is a very big floor.
Yeah.
It is a very big floor. And you will not, I mean, I'm not, anywhere you go to a library, you're not going to find that too often. What you're often going to find is a really cool, zone that they've, got in one corner of a room maybe. But this is a whole floor. So all you see are families and kids down here. And parents love it because kids can be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
We're not shushing them as long as they're not screaming. Yeah. And so it's, that is, I would say, on a daily basis, this is the busiest area is down
100%.
here. Yeah.
Well, again, it's the Shelton Timberland William G. Reed Library here in Shelton, and it's on 7th and Alder, and it's right downtown. The resources online at the new TRL website are amazing at trl.org. You can access I don't know what it's called now, but LinkedIn Learning kind of stuff. You can go through all sorts of the databases, all sorts of the records. You can really get some great educational pieces through the website itself. Come to the library and find a good book. What was the last book you read?
What was the last book I read?
Or book recommendation.
I don't know the last book I read.
Oh, you don't want my recommendations. They're always dark and gloomy.
What?
It's fun. I'm like, I really liked Murakami's last short story collection.
Okay.
Yeah. Haruki Murakami. He's a bestseller. I read a lot of kids books. I feel like on a daily basis. So even today with the park ranger story time, it's I'll read Why I'm a Park Ranger, and that stuff's great. I mean, I love that. That's part of my job.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I know the last book I read, but
You
I have
got
to
it?
look. I have to look at the exact title of it.
I tell you, I've been reading. My son wanted to watch The Meg. So
Yeah.
I started reading the books. Man, I'm whipping through those things.
Yeah.
It's like when I was reading kind of the liner note, somebody said, Jurassic Park under the water or something.
Oh, it's just fun.
They're great.
Yeah, it's just fun.
How do you encourage a kid to move from a graphic novels to chapter books to, if there's some pictures in there, to full-on chapter books? We're having a hard time bridging that gap.
I don't. I mean, my answer might be a little controversial. I don't know if you have to bridge that.
Okay.
I think, and in general, what I would say is just a theme here at our library is curiosity. Mm-hmm. What I remember when I was a kid going to a library is the discovery and the curiosity it stoked. It wasn't only book. I mean, I am a bookworm. But I used to bike to the library and just get all the CDs I could.
Yeah.
And I used to listen. I was exposed to a lot of music like that. And so I think in general with what we're trying to do, it's cool. If you want to read War and Peace, great. But if you also want to read Naruto, that's also, as long as your curiosity is stoked, I think that's what we're about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you find what book it was?
Lost on the Pacific Crest Trail. It's about the recovery of kind of people who have been lost.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a big hiker, big
Kind of
backpacker.
like a missing 411 kind of a deal.
Yeah. So.
Big fan. Yeah.
I like
I
reading.
think we could connect.
Yeah, big fan.
All right, we're at the library, and you should come on down here too. Aaron, Stephen, good talking with you both.
Yeah.
And TRL, the library is where it's at. Thank you so much.